Hi there and welcome to the Daily Arsenal News Show. Let's dive into today's top stories. £24 million Arsenal player has returned to first team training ahead of Tuesday night's game. Arsenal goalkeeper Aaron Ramsdale has been spotted back in training ahead of the club's Champions League tie against Sevilla tomorrow. Sky Sport News journalist James Savundra was reporting live from London Colney ahead of a huge game for Mikel Arteta's side. Arteta will be hoping for a response to his side dropping 2 points against London rivals Chelsea on Saturday evening. It was a far from convincing performance from Arsenal, with Declan Rice and Leandro Trossard bailing the side out after two errors at the back from the host. Arsenal might consider themselves slightly unlucky given the nature of both goals they have conceded at Stamford Bridge. William Saliba was penalised for handball, although it's hard to know where his arm should have been in that situation. The pressure increased on David Raya after he was lobbed by a Mykhailo Mudryk cross early in the second half, and the Spaniard nearly gifted Cole Palmer another goal later in the half. Aaron Ramsdale was absent from the matchday squad after the birth of his first child. Ramsdale is now back in training with the Arsenal squad ahead of their clash with Sevilla tomorrow. The goalkeeper, who Arsenal initially paid £24 million for, may think he has a chance to start tomorrow after his teammates' shaky performance between the sticks at the weekend. Posting the update on X, James said, Aaron Ramsdale back in training for Arsenal following the birth of his son. Whole squad present, Yurian Timber aside, ahead of the flight to Seville. It would be very harsh for Arteta to drop Raya after his display against Chelsea on Saturday. However, after making the admission that he had no problem rotating his goalkeepers, it's hard to see when another opportunity might arise to reintroduce the Englishman to the team. Ramsdale's long-term future at the Emirates is going to be questioned the longer he sits on the bench. Arteta has admitted he's been impressed with Ramsdale in training recently, and picking him for Arsenal's clash against Sevilla would be a huge confidence boost. Every time he's forced to choose between the two shot stoppers, he is putting himself in a difficult situation. It feels like it's only a matter of time until one of them has to move on. Pundit now says Mikel Arteta should drop 28-year-old after his latest Arsenal display. Robbie Mustoe believes Mikel Arteta should drop David Raya after his display for Arsenal at Chelsea over the weekend. Musto has been speaking on the Two Robbies Podcast and believes Mikel Arteta should give Aaron Ramsdale another chance between the sticks. Much has been made of Arteta's decision to drop Ramsdale over the past few weeks, with David Raya starting in every Premier League game since the 1-0 win at Everton last month. The Spaniard has emerged as the favourite choice between the sticks, but he put in an unconvincing display at Chelsea on Saturday. Indeed, Raya was caught off his line by Mykhailo Mudryk for Chelsea's second goal of the game, and he nearly presented Cole Palmer with an easy finish after a wayward pass. Now, Robbie Mustoe has called for Arteta to stay true to his word and rotate his goalkeeper for the next game. Speaking on his podcast, Mustoe explained why he thinks Raya should drop to the bench now. He said, David Raya, if everything Mikel Arteta said, and we are to believe it, he should be out the side now. You have had a couple of circumstances, and they have tried to play the ball out again. You gave it straight to the opponent who didn't score in that situation. You can question whether his starting position was a little bit past the near post for Madric's goal. There has been enough now given your player on the bench was so excellent last year and has done nothing wrong. Arteta has openly stated that he will rotate his goalkeepers throughout the season, but he is yet to take that approach in the Premier League. Raya put in a shaky display on Saturday, and despite the 1-0 win against Manchester City before the international break, he was involved in a couple of alarming moments in that game too. Nevertheless, the Spaniard seems to be the preferred choice at this stage, and it would be a surprise to see Arteta drop the 28-year-old after the 2-2 draw at Stamford Bridge. Pundit says 28-year-old Arsenal star often deserves to start ahead of £45 million teammate. Robbie Mustoe has suggested that he really likes Leandro Trossard and claimed that he would play him as the striker instead of Gabriel Jesus from time to time. Mustoe was speaking on the Two Robbies podcast after the Belgian scored the equaliser, which gave Arsenal a point from their trip to Stamford Bridge. Leandro Trossard has proved to be an absolutely inspired signing for Arsenal. He was perhaps not the player Gunners fans were hoping to see signed in the January transfer window, but the 28-year-old now has scored 5 goals and contributed 11 assists in 30 games for Arsenal in all competitions. It was always going to take a special player to put pressure on the likes of Bukayo Saka and Gabriel Martinelli, but Trossard has done exactly that. Robbie Mustoe believes that the time has come for Trossard to start a lot more, and he suggested that Gabriel Jesus should be the player to make way. He said, "I just like Trossard. I'd sooner rather have him in the side than, well, I guess, when you have got Martinelli, Jesus, and Saka, that probably is your front three. Though I have got to say I would at times play Trossard instead of Jesus up front. I think Trossard has more creative production about him than Jesus. That's just my personal take on that." Musto's comment highlight the problem Mikel Arteta has. He is about to back Trossard to come into the side, but then he cannot find an obvious way to fit him into the team. You are never going to drop Bukayo Saka unless he's being rested or has an injury. Meanwhile, Gabriel Martinelli is not far away from having just as strong a grip on his place in the side. Gabriel Jesus was a game-changing signing following his £45 million move to the Emirates, but he has also come in for criticism for not being prolific enough. Trossard has actually now scored one more than Jesus in the early stages of this campaign. So perhaps it's the Brazilian who should be looking over his shoulder a little and coming under pressure for his place in the side from the January signing. Ian Wright admits £32 million Arsenal player hasn't been the same since Granit Xhaka left. Ian Wright has suggested that Arsenal defender Zinchenko doesn't look like the same player since Granit Xhaka left the club. Speaking on the Wright's House podcast, the Arsenal legend was reviewing Saturday's 2-2 draw with Chelsea. It was far from the perfect performance from the Gunners, who were bailed out by late goals from Declan Rice and Trossard. The midfielder was the best player on the pitch for Arsenal, while Trossard once again made his claim to be starting as he nears full fitness. There were some issues with Arsenal's initial setup that Mikel Arteta will have to address before tomorrow's Champions League clash with Sevilla. Arsenal's back four looked very reminiscent of last season when the Gunners were one of the strongest defensive teams in the league. However, Zinchenko had a tough game, and Ian Wright believes that might have to do with the fact that Xhaka was missing. The Swiss international was sensational last year and was sold in the summer to Bayer Leverkusen. The German team are certainly benefiting from his arrival, as they are currently top of the Bundesliga. The £32 million left back must wish he was still at the Emirates, as his form hasn't been the same since his departure. Talking about the Ukrainian, Wright said, "And again Zinchenko without a Xhaka, and Xhaka done for us, it's not the same role. He doesn't seem to be able to do it without the way Xhaka was playing and giving him that license." On Saturday, Rice and Jorginho were tasked with playing in central midfield, with Martin Odegaard starting ahead of them. Neither player filled the Xhaka role on the left-hand side when he used to drop into the left back to allow Zinchenko to invert in midfield, and Wright has noticed the problem. Kai Havertz was signed as his replacement but wasn't given the nod by Arteta at the weekend. Also, Chelsea played him as a centre forward, which was arguably too attacking a role for him. The German is never going to drift into the left back position to cover for him. Arteta needs to find a solution to get the best out of Zinchenko. Otherwise, Takahiro Tomiyasu, who replaced him at half-time, might end up being a better option. Pundit suggests he didn't expect Arteta's decision on a 23-year-old Arsenal player at Chelsea. Craig Burley has suggested that he was a little surprised to see Emil Smith-Rowe come on for Arsenal before Leandro Trossard during the draw at Chelsea. Burley was speaking to ESPN after Mikel Arteta's men produced a brilliant late comeback to earn a point from their trip to Stamford Bridge. Emil Smith-Rowe got a big opportunity in the game. Of course, Stamford Bridge is a stadium he has happy memories of. The 23-year-old came on midway through the second half as the Gunners desperately searched for a way back into the fixture. However, it was the next batch of substitutions which had a bigger impact on the game. Leandro Trossard replaced Gabriel Martinelli 10 minutes after Smith-Rowe had come on, and it was the Belgian who backed the Arsenal equalizer. Speaking to ESPN, Kieran Gibbs suggested that Trossard is almost Arsenal's secret weapon, but the 28-year-old has been able to make an impact on a number of occasions, and with that, Craig Burley claimed that he was slightly perplexed to see Smith-Rowe come on first. He said, "But really until the Sanchez mistake, I didn't think Arsenal were going to get back in the game. A little surprising that Smith-Rowe comes on before Trossard. Zinchenko was off at half-time. I haven't heard if it was an injury or not, but certainly okay on the ball. Defensively, Zinchenko pretty poor." It does appear that Smith-Rowe is going to have to make something happen for himself as things stand. He does not appear to be a key player in Mikel Arteta's plans. He is still awaiting his first league start since the 21-22 season ended. He definitely has the talent to do it. Smith-Rowe was one of the players who actually gave Arsenal fans something to smile about during the trickier periods of Arteta's tenure. Arsenal are interested in signing £15 million player who scored a brace yesterday. Fabrizio Romano claims that Arsenal are still interested in signing Aston Villa midfielder Douglas Luiz. Romano has been speaking in his latest YouTube video and shared an update on the Villa star. Mikel Arteta bolstered his midfield with the additions of Declan Rice and Kai Havertz over the summer. But after losing Granit Xhaka, the Gunners are lacking an out-and-out number 8. Douglas Luiz has attracted interest from Arsenal in the past as Arteta's men tried to land the Brazilian last summer. Of course, Luiz remained at Villa Park and eventually signed a new contract this time last year. The 25-year-old has excelled under Unai Emery recently and has netted an impressive total of 5 goals in just 9 Premier League appearances this season. His latest goal came just yesterday as he netted a brace to help the Villains to a 4-1 win over West Ham, and it seems that Arsenal are still keeping tabs on Luiz's situation ahead of the January window. Speaking in his latest YouTube video, Romano shared what he knows about Arsenal's interest in Luiz. He said, "It's also important to say that many clubs are keeping an eye on Luiz's situation. Arsenal wanted Luiz 1 year ago. He's always been a player appreciated by Arsenal. Director Edu. Let's see what is going to happen in January if Arsenal decide to move for that position or not, because it's not decided yet. But for sure, Douglas Luiz is a player appreciated by many clubs around Europe, not just Arsenal. We know the style of the Gunners. They like to keep an eye on the players they have already been following in the past. For sure, Luiz is going to be one to watch in 2024. Let's see if it's in January or the summer. It's never easy to sign players from Aston Villa, and they are flying now. It will be interesting to see whether or not Arsenal decide to target another midfielder after Kai Havertz's underwhelming start to life in North London. Arteta has struggled to find a preferred midfield 3 this season, and no one has taken up Xhaka's place in the side just yet. Havertz has struggled to play the number 8 role, while Fabio Vieira has put in a couple of promising displays. Luiz would certainly fit the bill as a player who is able to operate in various roles in midfield, but after the £15 million man signed fresh terms just last year, he won't come cheap for the Gunners. Fabrizio Romano reveals the truth behind Arsenal and Man United links with €30 million transfer. Fabrizio Romano has spoken out on the recent rumours linking Galatasaray right back Sacha Boey with the likes of Arsenal and Manchester United. The talented 23-year-old is impressing in Turkey, and one imagine it won't be too long before big clubs seriously enter the running for him, though it seems nothing is close to happening just yet. According to Romano in today's exclusive column for the Daily Briefing, the current links surrounding Bowie will be related to the fact that he changed agents during the summer. Romano said, "Another player being linked with Arsenal is Sacha Boey, but I wouldn't get too excited just yet. We see this link since he joined Stellar Agency in the summer, but he's never been close to a move. There are no negotiations as of now as Galatasaray consider Bowie a key player. His price was already around €30 million in the summer." Romano was responding to links with Arsenal in particular, though Man United and other Premier League clubs have also been linked with Bowie by Photosport, and it would certainly be interesting to see the Frenchman trying his luck in the English top flight. Arsenal might do well to bring someone like Bowie in as a cover for the injured Julian Timber. As we wrap up today's Arsenal news, remember to stay tuned for daily updates right here on the channel. Don't miss out on the latest updates, so make sure to hit that subscribe button and give us a like if you found this information valuable. Your support means the world to us. Thanks for watching, and until next time, take care.